Hi everyone. Good day. Good day. It is I, Najami, and I wanted to do a video commentary on what has recently happened regarding the Department of Education. On Thursday, March 20th, 2025, President Trump has signed an executive order to pretty much dismantle the Department of Education. All right. So I wanted to do a video commentary on that and what this means, and really pretty much have a discussion. I'm going to also share the video, a little bit of it, and then also have more commentary afterwards regarding it. But I wanted to do a pretty much a basic social studies 101 when it comes to the government, right? Understand that there's checks and balances. Let's go back to basics. You got the president, you got the legislative branch, presidential branch, and then you have the judicial branch, right? And the way our government works, there's checks and balances, right? So, what does that mean? I just wanted to talk about some of these, checks and balances. So President Trump has signed an executive order. Pretty much, what is an executive order, right? It isn't per se a law, but it's pretty much has the weight of a law. Okay, before it is even put into law, it takes time, but by the time that even happens, change is pretty much inevitable. All right. So how is law put into place? First, you have the legislative branch that the House of Senate and Congress. They come up with a bill, and then the president signs on the bill, and then it pretty much turns into law. Right then, when it comes to an executive order, it's not per se a law, but it's just a way for the government to put in something into effect, be it if it's an emergency. But most of the time, it's either to expand or extract certain federal agencies within the government, which is what's going on when it comes to the Department of Education. DOE acronym, we'll shorten that. So now, President Trump has signed an executive order pertaining to the Department of Education. So it's enforced like a law, but it's not per se a law. And how can this be checked or balanced? Pretty much, it would have to go through the judicial system, and they would have to test that executive order if it doesn't. They'll have to test the executive order and check to make sure that it doesn't break any constitutional laws, right? Then Congress can also step in and pass other laws to try to counter it. That's one way that could be opposed, right? But pretty much at the end of the day, an executive order, even though it's not per se a written law, it holds the weight like a law. Okay, so that means there are changes that are going to be made. That's inevitable. By the time the courts and Congress gets involved, a lot of time would have already lapsed, right, with some of these changes to be debunked or not. Okay, so I just wanted to pretty much talk a little bit, basics, 101 basics, bring things into perspective in that way. All right. So the before I even go into it further, let me just share the video with you. All right. So this is President Trump. I'm going to play it now.
When President Carter created the Federal Education Department in 1979, it was opposed by members of his own cabinet, as well as the American Federation of Teachers, the New York Times editorial board, and the famed Democrat Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. History has proven them right, absolutely right. After 45 years, the United States spends more money on education by far than any other country, and spends likewise by far more money per pupil than any country, and it's not even close. But yet, we rank near the bottom of the list in terms of success. It's an amazing stat. Those are two stats you don't want. The most money spent per pupil, and you're at the bottom of the list. And that's where we are, like it or not. And we've been there for a long time. 70% of 8th graders are not proficient in either reading or in math. 70%. 40% of 4th graders lack even basic reading skills. Can't read. Students in our public elementary and middle schools score worse in reading today than when the department opened by a lot. In Baltimore, 40% of the high schools have 0 students who can do basic mathematics. Not even the very simplest of mathematics. I said, give me your definition of basic, and they're talking about like adding a few numbers together. Despite these breathtaking failures, the department's discretionary budget has exploded by 600% in a very short period of time, and it employs bureaucrats in buildings all over Washington, D.C. And as a former real estate person, I will tell you, I ride through the streets of Washington and it says Department of Education, Department of Education. I said, how do you fill those buildings? It's crazy what's happened over the years. I'm pleased to report that after offering these federal employees 2 generous buyout options, and they were very generous, and they're good people, but they were very generous. My administration has initiated a reduction in force, and we're already cutting numbers that were really surprising to a lot that we were able to do it so successfully. And we've cut the number of bureaucrats in half. 50% have taken office, which is good. Thank you. Under the action I'm taking today, a small handful of Democrats and others that we have employed for a long time, and there's some Republicans, but not too many, I have to be honest with you. But the department's useful functions, and such as they're in charge of them. Pell Grants, Title I funding, resources for children with disabilities and special needs will be preserved, fully preserved. They're all going to be so. If you look at the Pell Grants, it's supposed to be a very good program. Title I funding and resources for children with special disabilities and special needs, they're going to be preserved in full and redistributed to various other agencies and departments that will take very good care of them. And it's very important to Linda, I know, and it's very important to all of us. But beyond these core necessities, my administration will take all lawful steps to shut down the department. We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states where just some of the governors here are so happy about this. They want education to come back to them, to come back to the states, and they're going to do a phenomenal job. You know, if you look, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, I have to tell you, I give them a lot of credit. China's top 10. And so we can't now say that bigness is making it impossible to educate, because China is very big. But you have countries that do a very good job in education. And I really believe, like some of the governors here today, from states that run very, very well, including a big state like Texas, but states that run very well are going to have education that will be as good as Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and those top, Finland, those top countries that do so well with education. I think they'll do every bit as well. And what do you think about that, Governor? Do you agree? I think so. Ron, do you agree? I think so. Florida? Iowa? That's right. I really believe that. They'll be as good as any of them. And then you'll have some laggards, and we'll work with them. And we can all tell you who the laggards will be right now, probably, but let's not get into that. But we'll work with them, and we're going to make them, they'll do a job. I think they'll do a job, and they'll go to sections of the state. For instance, New York, you'll have a Manhattan, and you'll have a Suffolk County, and you'll have Nassau County, and you have Westchester County. You'll do 4 or 5 or 6 of them. You have upstate New York, and those counties I think are going to do very well. And I think ultimately Manhattan should do very well. But we'll break it down into sections, and I think it'll be really, really good. And they're going to be probably the tougher ones, but I think they have a chance to do really well. But we're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs, and this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do, and it's going to work. Absolutely, it's going to work. And I can tell you from dealing with the governors and others in the state, they want it so badly. They want to take their children back and really teach their children individually. Probably the cost will be half, and the education will be maybe many, many times better. So we look forward to this. I want to just make one little personal statement. Teachers to me are among the most important people in this country, and we're going to take care of our teachers. And I don't care if they're in the union or not in the union, that doesn't matter. But we're going to take care of our teachers, and I believe the states will take actually better care of them than they are taken care of right now. They'll work all sorts of systems and even merit systems. Those great teachers are going to be maybe a little bit better rewarded, or maybe that's the way it should be, but the states are going to make that decision. But we're going to love and cherish our teachers along with our children, and they're going to work with the parents, and they're going to work with everybody else, and it's going to be an amazing thing to watch, and it's really going to be something special. And Linda, you're presiding over something that's so important, and you're going to do a fantastic job, just like you have your whole life. I know your whole life I've been watching you. I've been watching you for a long time. She's had nothing but success. So it's tremendous to have you, and hopefully you won't be there too long, but we're going to find something else for you, Linda, okay? So this will conclude what we are talking about with respect to our most cherished group of people, and that's our children. We want to have our children well educated, and we want them to love going to school. We have examples of it. Look at those beautiful, bright-eyed faces. They are so smart. They're so smart. And with that, I'm going to come down and we're going to sign a very important document, and we're going to be on our way. People have wanted to do this for many, many years, for many, many decades. And I don't know, no president ever got around to doing it, but I'm getting around to doing it. So thank you very much.
So I gotta tell you, President Trump is definitely a showman. I don't. I noticed that they have young children actually sitting there right next to him,
I'll take this one. I had one. It
and
was
they're
very lucky. I
actually
signed
signing
another
along with him.
document that turned out to be very
I
good
wonder
for the
whose
country.
idea
And I
that
said, let's
was.
use that same pen. I don't know. Is anybody superstitious? Ron, are you superstitious? Let's use that same pen. Okay.
Alrighty. So that concludes the executive order signing to dismantle the Department of Education. And the reason why I say dismantle and not shut down, I know that's the intent. However, one of the things that was mentioned in the time being that will not be affected are the grants and support that goes to children who need special education, children with disabilities, and he also mentioned Pell Grants. He also definitely gave edification to all teachers as well. And our teachers are very important. Um, and there's a need for more and more teachers as well. So let me go back. All right. So I just wanted to just continue discussing this whole situation. I, as you already know, homeschool my boys, and my older son, he goes to a private Christian school, and he's in the 11th grade. I've been homeschooling them from the time that they've been young to up to 8th grade is my intention, and then they would be going to high school at a private Christian school of our choice, right? That's the decision that myself and my husband have made as far as the path that we want to educate our sons. And at the end of the day, education starts from the home. I've mentioned this numerous times from prior videos and just from putting certain posts up, right? Parents are responsible to educate their child first and foremost, even before they step out of the home, all right? And I'm just going to continue. So he did mention that President Andrew Johnson, um, President Andrew Johnson, I think he mentioned. I don't know. Well, the Department of Education was established back in October 17, 1979, and the history goes all the way back to 1867 um, as well. Another thing that I wanted to mention was, as per Newsweek, right, the amount of money that's pumped into the Department of Education is $268 billion. As per CBS News, they write that the Department of Education had about 4,133 employees, and it's been slashed down since President Trump has come into office. It's been slashed down to pretty much 50%, 2,183, right? So they've given certain packages to the ones that they've released, as well, offered them, and then some. I don't know. No, I can't speak for those individuals who are working for DOE, but you know, resources show that state that they've been either released or given also a package, like a retirement package or something like that, some type of deal, right? Also, Newsweek, as per Newsweek, data states that most of funding from the Department of Education goes from kindergarten to 12th grade, the majority of funding. And the states The states that get the most funding from DOE that this may affect the most are the top 10 states: Alaska, North Dakota, Montana, Kentucky, South Dakota, Hawaii, Mississippi, West Virginia, Wyoming, and Vermont. All right. So these are the states that would be most likely affected the most by it because they're the ones that get the most funding from Department of Education. Also, prior to the Department of Education being established, it was known as the Office of Education, and the focus of it was to pretty much like keep a census of what's going on educationally within the United States. Data entry census. That's pretty much what the gist of it, the purpose of Office of Education was before it became the Department of Education. So, what are the effects of this being dismantled besides 50% of the staff being let go? Top 10 states being, that depend mostly on the Department of Education that I have mentioned before. This also can affect grants, college grants, work study funds, certain loans that people got. One thing that will not be cut is the special education funding, and disadvantaged student funding will not be changed. I don't know, once the department, you say his goal is to get rid of it completely, what that's going to look like, with what they're not going to affect as of now, if they're going to have the states eventually transition in funding those specific needs, or just allocating, just only dismantling it, but just keeping those particular departments open, but it wouldn't be called Department of Education. That's what I'm assuming. It probably wouldn't be called the Department of Education. It'll probably just be more like, the department that assists special needs, disadvantaged students, so on and so forth, right? Also, I made note, local and state governments typically provide most of the educational funding. So now, most people think about where they live, the school district that they're part of. Is it a good school district for my child or not? Or should I invest in a property here? What's the school district like for my children? Is it good? Parents are going to also have to start most likely thinking about not just only the school district, but the state, right? And I also say this because now, what does this mean if you're homeschooling? If you go to, you look up your state. Yeah, every state has certain policies, regulations when it comes to homeschooling. So this could shift and also change that. So you want to stay on top of that as well. I believe homeschooling will continue growing. Parents who decide to homeschool their children, that number will continue to grow as well. And this is something I'm going to be following closely as well for myself as a parent that homeschools. I do live in the state of New York, and I just want to just stay on top of what the laws are when it comes to that, if things will change much or not. And for parents who aren't happy with this and the changes that will be occurring, you do have options. Again, education starts in the home. You do have the option to think about if homeschooling is something or a path that you want to have for your child, right? When it comes to college is an option. Straight up, that's how I look at it. That's my belief. You may not see it that way, but to me, college is an option. If you want to pursue a particular career, you're going to have to continue your education outside of high school. However, you have vocational schools that you can go to. You have different career paths that you can go to when it comes to depending on federal government funding to go to college. I guess that's going to change. That's going to change. Now you're going to have to find other ways of getting your college funded. It could be through other type of loans. Parents who have children, young children, or are thinking of having children, they're going to need to start planning financially sooner, with options about how they're going to fund their child's education, right? There are students who work while they go to school. You have online college schooling, which is a whole lot less than physically going to school. Like, there's so many different aspects when it comes to getting educated, what field you're going to be going into. So people are going to have to just think outside of the box now with how they want to do things, how they're going to pay for things, because I do believe that this will affect college students who are getting funding from the government to pay for their college education, and then it would be going more on the state that you're in to give you some of these loans and grants for your education, and no longer the federal government. Okay. Another thing I wanted to point out, I think I pretty much covered most of the stuff. Right? You're just gonna have to think outside of the box when it comes to educating your child. It doesn't have to be the traditional way anymore. Don't worry. I put my trust in my Lord and personal Savior, Jesus Christ. And me and my husband have decided to teach our boys to fear God and to raise them up in the way that the Lord has told them to go, and not to stray from it. And we've decided, to homeschool our boys, and to give them a private education. And college is an option for them if they want to pursue it or not. They don't have to go. They can go, pursue some type of vocational study, or get some certifications or licensing in different things. That is their choice. That's up to them, to decide. At the end of the day, as parents, we are to be involved in everything concerning our children, right? Since we're talking about education, we are responsible to educate our kids as well. It's very, very important that we do so, and that we teach them. Even if our children are in school, we help them with their homework. We teach them certain things that the schools don't teach them, right? More economics and so on and so forth, different things, right? That schools fail to teach as well. So that is my conclusion, is that, listen, politics does affect a lot of things. And as parents, we are to, be involved in our community, what's going on within our community. And there's certain things that may happen, politically or within our government, that we may like or not like. At the end of the day, it is our responsibility to take care of what's going on within our home, and making plans for our children, right, as well. Now, the dismantling of the Department of Education, I believe it's not just only a financial reasoning, but I also believe that there's been a lot of things that has been going on within the educational system that is failing our children, that is taking power away from parents to decide. And this administration has had enough of it, and they want to make a difference, where the states now have the power, and more of the parents have the power that's given back to them as well. So I pray for prosperity, peace of mind for all children in America. I pray for all the parents, and I pray for my country. God bless America. And that's all I have to say about this topic, and I will be covering it more as well. I wanted to definitely take the time to share with you all, if you haven't gone to stepstohomeschooling.com yet, and you're thinking of possibly homeschooling your child, or you thought about it, you want to, or you have questions, concerns, certain kind of fears or reservations, and you just need some input on that, you could definitely go to stepstohomeschooling.com. You can do a phone consult with me. And definitely there is an online course guide that is available to you that answers all your questions and concerns. That's a guide to leading you to homeschooling your child. It has a lot of information and material as well for you too. I'm going to see if I can bring up the website as well. All right, so I am bringing it up. This is the site, stepstohomeschooling.com. If you haven't been on it before, this is what it's like, empowering you to educate your way. All right, so don't be worrying about what's going on with Trump signing executive orders or with the educational system. The power is in your hand, how you want to educate your child and what that may look like for you. Here you have the Steps to Homeschooling Premium Package, where you get everything. And that entails, bring it up. It entails the online course guide, okay, 1 hour consultation session, 2 1 hour lesson planning, as well. And it also has all the it also has all the forms that are included with that as well. This is the main one, Steps to Homeschooling Online Course Guide, where I put together a lot of information that can answer all your questions and concerns about homeschooling and what do I do to start homeschooling. It gives you a lot of information. If you also want the helpful forms, which is good, gives you samples of letters of intent, samples of putting an agenda together and putting up a quarterly report together. That's all in there, and it has a lot of downloadable and fillable forms on there that I put together as well. And you have your free consultation where you can talk and discuss with me, talk with me about anything. There's hourly support and curriculum planning only. And one of the things that I'm excited about is our shop that we have on here. And I have the motto, and that's why I homeschool. I put this all together, designed it all myself with you in mind. All right. You have t-shirts, sweatshirts for the kids. No homework, just home learning. And then you have your no homework, just home learning mug, which changes colors as you put in your drinks in there. And then you have the classic, and that's why I homeschool mug. And we have the car magnets that you can put on, and that's why I homeschool as well. And you can pick, it has options of which color that you want. If you want a pink, you can pick pink, or if you want it blue, you can do that as well. So definitely visit the shop as well. If you haven't had the opportunity or chance to go to the website, definitely check it out because it has you as parents in mind in every step of the way. All right. I'm going to come back on to this. So that concludes my video. Thanks for watching. And again, I'm going to be following this closely and just keeping you in the loop because I myself need to be in the loop. So, all right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care and God bless. Bye.